Oh my God! I'm just getting downloads. The ridiculous thing about scientists, the ridiculous thing about egoic consciousness, when we've got people that, build things like the Large Hadron Collider to smash particles together to find the Higgs boson, the God particle. They're looking for God. And yet the foolish nature of these scientists, who all have triple, quadruple PhDs, and they're all deemed to be super intelligent, to me they just look like silly billies, because what they are looking for is themselves. They're looking for God. Well, all I want to ask them is, well, with what are you looking for God with? And they'll go, our brains, our super scientific brains. And I will say, okay, let me put it to you a bit more basic then. What is it that enables your super scientific brains to ask these questions and look for your creator? What is it that's enabling you to do that? It's our consciousness, of course. What is your consciousness? Oh, we don't know. Oh, stop with these silly questions now. Let's get back to looking for God when we're smashing these particles together in this super trillion-dollar expensive machine. That's what we're concentrating on. And I'm like, no, stop. With what are you looking for God with? They don't know, because nobody has ever known what consciousness is, except me, evidently, and a few other people. So I say this, I say, well, look, doesn't it seem to be much more rational that the thing that you are looking for God with, that you don't know anything about, might just be God? I'm just saying, it might be God. If you don't know what the fuck it is that's operating you, that's giving you a spark of consciousness, if you don't know what consciousness is, if you don't know what's enabling you to do every fucking thing that you ever do in life, if you don't know what that is, then wouldn't it make more sense that you start to look for the root of that first, before you start building super fucking machines and shit and projecting it outside into the non-reality? Look inside here. And then, lo and behold, you might just go, it's God that's looking for God. Oh, fuck. How paradoxical is that? And then you'll realise that, well, if you were remotely philosophical or intelligent, then you'd realise that this whole construct is a paradox from the beginning to the end. And so surely what you would be looking for initially would be a paradox. You have to be looking for a paradox, people, because the whole construct is paradoxical. Everything is a parody and a paradox of itself. And so when you find God, you find yourselves. And when you find God, you find that which is looking for itself. And then you go, how does that work? That doesn't make sense. That's the paradox. Well, then investigate a little bit further and you find that everything's a paradox. It's like entanglement. When scientists, they do this entanglement experiment and they take two fractions of a particle which has had a relationship with a particle. Let's say, I don't know, maybe it's a quark from an atom, and then they separate it. And then when they move one, the other one moves exactly in the opposite direction, just like you're looking at it from an inversion or in a mirror or some fucking thing. And then scientists go, oh, we don't know what that is. That's too paradoxical for us. It's because it's like, well, there's only one thing. Yes, there is only one thing. But if you consider that this whole thing is an illusion, it's Maya, then you might start to get somewhere. But then, of course, all your telescopes and your microscopes will be obsolete overnight, because you can't look for the paradox with those. You can't look for God with those. You look for God with God. And God is consciousness. And so when you realise that God is consciousness and you have consciousness and you're God, you're looking for yourselves. Can't you see, people? Only you're looking for a shard of your own selves. You're looking for, like, it's kind of like, it's like being a grain of sand on the beach, looking for the beach. You are the fucking beach. It's just a concept, just a shift in concepts. You see, you think you're a grain of sand, and you think you're looking for the beach. Where's the beach? Where's the beach? How has anybody seen the beach? Get the microscope out, get the telescope out, get all this scientific equipment. We've got to find the beach. The beach is just a concept, motherfucker. The beach is a conglomerate of small grains of sand, just like you. What are you? I'm a grain of sand. What are your colleagues? We're grains of sand. Well, when there's a fucking million of you, that means that it's called a beach, or it's been coined as a beach. You've coined it, you did it yourselves, human beings. You created these concepts, these illusions, these paradoxes. So why is it, as being a grain of sand, you can't find the fucking beach? Because you're only looking for a concept, people. And the concept doesn't exist. Can you see? Can you see? Does that make any sense? Does that not seem quite rational and logical to you? Just to me. Again, it seems very, very clear. I mean, look, I feel like crying. I really do. I feel like fucking crying. When people are looking for something with something that they don't even know what that something is, how can they, in their right minds, even take themselves serious when they are looking for something when they don't even know from what they are looking for it from? I'm like, am I making any sense? It's like looking in the mirror and trying to find that image. Where's that image? And you look behind it, oh, that image is gone. And if you turn it to one side, like, the image is gone. And the only time I can see that image is when I'm looking directly at it. Well, if you're a little bit intelligent, you think like, well, you're looking at your reflection, aren't you? And then when you solve that one, you go, I was looking for me all along. Yes. And that's what we're doing here in this dimension, people. Isn't it wonderful? We are looking for ourselves. Some of us have found ourselves, and some of us are audacious enough to say that I am God. I'm proclaiming I am God. I'm not like Nietzsche. Nietzsche, people think Nietzsche was smart. He's saying that God is dead. But he didn't know that he was God. How could God be dead? God was him. God's everything. How can God be dead? God's the thing that's making this entire thing possible. God is the projector of the illusion, of the hologram. God is the computer of the simulation. God is the mind of the dream. For God's sakes, how many times do you want it saying before you're gonna get it? But you just keep falling back into the dream. You keep falling fast asleep. Or you can never wake up. This thing is about waking up, people. Are you getting it? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? It's about waking up. When you wake up, you know what's going on. And then you just can be joyous in the fact that you've created this thing to have this experience. And you've created a gazillion others to have similar or vastly different experiences. And you experience it all. That's the true nature of God, experiencing everything. God is in these twigs, God is in these trunks, God is in these leaves, God is these twigs, trunks and leaves. God's that dray up there, God's the squirrel that frequents that, God's this stick, God's my hair. God is everything. We are God. Where is God? He's here. Where? I am that I am. And some of you want me to debate an atheist. Are you fucking sure? Are you fucking sure? And what I'm saying isn't refutable. What I'm saying is perfectly reasonable and logical. If anybody can refute this, then I'll just fucking eat my staff. I'll eat my dead stick. Right, if anybody can refute this, that what we are looking for God with is God. Can you refute it? How can you refute it? Oh, because in the Bible we're... No, that's not refuting it. That's just listening to some bullshit. Refute it scientifically. If you're so scientifically endowed and you think science is the thing, refute it scientifically. Even refute it philosophically. Refute it any fucking way you want. And let's see if that stands up. It won't stand up. It's not possible for it to stand up. Because it's not possible to discount this truth. This is the only truth. There's one truth, that everything is God. And it's kind of like, even that is not so much truth when we say everything, because there is no thing. There is no every. Because even then we're suggesting that there's things that are separate here. There's nothing separate. It is God. And that's why the only truth in the Bible is I am that I am. I am the Omega. I am the Alpha. That's it. So as soon as you get your heads around that, people, then you can just pack up shop. You can stop doing whatever you're doing with all this silly bullshit, and you can just look at yourselves and ask yourselves, what the fuck am I doing as God with this experience? Am I just creating myself stress? That's a choice. It's an option. You can do that here. And if you like that shit, fucking fine, do it. Do you want to wallow in your own depression, in your own addictions, because somebody fiddled with your willy or your bum when you was a baby? Well, fine, you can do that if you want to. Do you want to wallow in your own fucking level of disappointment because you weren't gifted like some people are, and you know you've got the thinking capacity of a boiled potato? Well, you can do that. Or you can just go, I'm a fucking boiled potato. I'm having a boiled potato experience and I'm going to enjoy it. Now, I just look here and I see this living being. And if you were to look at that on psilocybin or DMT, you would know absolutely that this is a living entity. And I feel the presence of it. I know it is a living entity. And I'm going to hug this beautiful living entity because I know what it is. And I know that all things are sentient, and trees have one of the highest levels of sentience. For, I suppose, inanimate object, they have great sentience and intelligence. They are conscious and they communicate with us. For those of us who are listening, anybody who hasn't taken or hasn't increased their own chemical construct, listen to me what I'm saying, people. If you have increased your chemical construct with your own DMT, then you'll know what I'm saying. But if you think, oh, these drugs are on the outside and they're not real, and they tell you things that are not real, then you're an idiot. Because you don't even know what's in your own body scientifically. So do you believe in science or not? If you believe in science, then science will tell you that our bodies create DMT. And if you take enough DMT, then you'll see this world in a very different way. Nice to meet you, man. I'd like to know your name. And I'm sure he'll tell me telepathically, so I can greet him next time. And, you know, there is something else that has been written about and documented for millennia. Trees are conscious. Trees communicate. And why do you think it is that there have been myriad children's books and films, and even films for adults, which depict trees talking to us? Do you think that's just silly things for kids? Or do you just think that there might be an element of truth in that? No smoke without fire, people. Then, when you look at Alice Through the Looking Glass, or Alice in Wonderland, and then you see things shrinking and expanding, do you think it's just silly stuff for kids? Or do you think that that's how our minds work sometimes? Under certain conditions, under certain substances. And we don't even have to have taken anything. Lots of people have these experiences of macropsia and micropsia without taking anything, because we already have these chemicals within us. Anyway, I'm now going back to have probably a 3-hour conversation. So I'm going to chill out for a bit, and I'm going to get ready for a conversation which might just blow some of your socks off. What about that? Hey, you excited?